Hey, Nancy. Oh, shoot. You doing? I'm so excited.
I'm doing pretty dandy. Thank you. So excited to dig in and talk to some of your folks tonight.
Yes, I just sent out a link and told everybody they better show up. We have a really good group, though.
Good, good.
So let me get my interview questions together. So yeah, I love what you do. I love watching you online, and you mastered the Twitter, so that's a boss. Like, you bossed that Twitter feed.
Thank you, thank you. It's quite a blast. It's kind of quite a blast.
Yeah.
I'm sure probably what you'll want to do is because you're an affiliate of mine, you'll probably want to share, an affiliate link to one of my, or maybe several of my my programs, like the best way to say it, perhaps, with your affiliate link, right? With
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Do you have that, or do I need to pull that up?
I have it. I have to log in to get it. Give me one
Okay.
second.
Okay. You remember what email you used?
Most likely is probably the writers group.
The writers group. Okay.
If not, then it's my whole name.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, I see it. Okay, I have it. I have it here.
Okay. Oh, if you can put it in the chat box, I appreciate that. For you. You did it faster than I did.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, we see some people trickling in. Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Okay, I posted your affiliate link in the chat for everyone. Yeah, we are kind of filling up here.
Thank you.
So is this a weekly meetup then, monthly meetup?
When we first started, we were weekly, and then we started every 2 weeks. And then when the summer hit, I know that everyone's on vacation and enjoying their summer, so I would break it down to one meeting a month. But with the addition of COVID and Zoom, I'm able to reach out to a lot of people now. It's been very trying because we were normally a meet in person group, but now with being online and people being forced to learn Zoom, it makes it a little easier to reach out to everyone. Our furthest member is in Canada. So we have about 3 members that are in Canada, and they chime in every meetup. So we've been together for going on 6 years.
Cool.
Yeah. So being local, I try to look for local authors that are native to Ohio. And when I saw you, I was just like, oh my gosh, how come I don't know this guy? And why haven't I met him already? So I was very blown away.
Well, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased. Would you like us to go ahead and get started? Or do you want to wait for some more folks to find their way in here?
1 more minute. Let's do 7:05. They're still trickling in.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Now, would you say that you folks here who in the group with Cora right now are you fiction writers, nonfiction writers, poets, bloggers? What kind of mix do we have?
Everything.
A little bit of everything.
We have everything, and that's why we are the writers group, because I didn't want to put a specific genre on us, because when we started meeting in person, we all had a common interest. We just wanted to write and loved to write. So I was like, hey, and then I looked up the name, the writers group was available. I was like, that fit us. So we rolled with it, but it became the very platform of our group, because everyone, because we're so diverse and we're on different levels of writing, everyone come to the table with resources. We have people that go out to events. We have people that are published traditionally and self-published, and their experience to me is the best teacher, because they are the ins and out of the group. They are the ears and the eyes, and it's been very rewarding to just meet each one personally. So I told my mom, this is the only job I never quit because it's just something that I love. And I didn't know how to write. Like, I didn't have a clue. And that's why I started the group, because I just thought maybe if I put something together, we could all come together and figure it out. And boy, did we figure it out. So we're on our 6th anthology. We do an anthology every year. And what we do is we display all the members' writing by submission, and those that submit, we do their book. And so the one that we're working on now is our 6th one. And it's been, you can tell by our first book compared to this book, we've all leveled up. Like, it's just a masterpiece of different writing, from poetry to prose to essays to art, just all in there. So we are the writer's room.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well, it is 7:06, so we can go ahead and get started, and I'll just be muting people as they come in. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet Joshua. How do you say your last name? Because I said Lisec.
That works. Lisec.
Lisec. Okay. I did put his bio over in the chat, but I'm just going to break down a little bit of him. He is the world's only award-winning, celebrity recommended, #1 international best-selling certified professional ghostwriter. That sounded like a tongue twister, but I got it out there. But that just speaks volumes of Josh. And he's the founder of the Entrepreneurs Wordsmith LLC, and he's Ohio's first certified professional ghostwriter. He graduated from California State University in Long Beach, and he's a multiple-time #1 international best-selling ghostwriter, a Forbes contributor ghostwriter, and a TEDx speaker, a leading authority on author voice authenticity, and a 2-time published novelist. Since 2011, he has ghostwritten 50 books. Ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Lisec. So I'm going to start off with some questions, but I want you to go ahead and chime in and give us a little bit about your experience and what you've seen in the industry so far.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that opening there, Cora. Based on what you just heard, post in the questions what you want me to tell you about. Questions. Oh, maybe this guy knows about X. Maybe he can give me a response. Finally, what this question I've been wondering related to writing and publishing about Y. So post those in the chat, and we'll make sure you get your questions answered. So my literary journey began more than 10 years ago. It was my dream as a kid, as is with a lot of people who love novels and reading and are bookworms and introverts. We want to write and we want to be read. We want to do it professionally. And fiction, novels, great works of English literature meant quite a bit to me as a homeschooled child with not a whole lot to do. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could give other people the same experience I myself have had as a child? So I wanted to become a professional novelist, get novels published. I did, as Cora just stated. I got a 2-book publishing deal with an independent publishing house. And as I'm going about book signings, doing panels, selling copies of my book in person and online, two people see my book. They see the picture on the back and they think, this guy can't be much older than 20 years old, which was true. I was not. And they reached out to me, 2 people, and said, Joshua, I've wanted to write my book longer than you've been alive, and you did it twice. Teach me. And I thought, okay, I guess I can help you write your book. And those are my 2 first ghostwriting projects. And yeah, soon I'll probably be getting to 100 books ghostwritten. I average about 6 per year as a ghostwriter for people that are all over the place. Most of them are kind of niche industry experts, have a following in the thousands or tens of thousands, but they want to kind of go to that next level of being known by hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And a book is your kind of automatic go-to to doing that, presumably, if it's good. And then there are other people who already have 1 million, 2 million, 3 million followers online, and they haven't had a book yet, and they feel very stupid because the bigger they get, the less it makes sense to not have a book. But they don't have time anymore. So I say, Joshua, I've seen some of your stuff. Just take care of it. I don't want to think about this. Just go write my book. I'm sure it'll be great. So I have clients that are like that. And the experience of ghostwriting has resulted in so many people wanting my help that I decided to create writing courses specifically about effectively communicating exactly what you want to say and the thoughts that you have, the brilliant ideas, the stories, getting them as close as possible into the exact words that are going to convey that message, and do so with a persuasive communication. And so I have a bunch of writing courses that are specific to writing with persuasion, writing to influence, writing not just, oh, wow, there were no typos in that, but writing so that people will now alter their behavior, such as buy your product or join your newsletter or give to your favorite charity, whatever the case may be. So I do a lot more than just ghostwrite books. I do a little bit of everything. And I have a team of people who work with me and help take some of the menial manual labor, you might say, tasks off my plate so I can work with even more people. So that's a little bit about where I'm at and what I am about. Back to you, Cora.
Great. Well, you just answered two of my questions. What does a ghostwriter do, and how did you get into the business of ghostwriting? So my next question would be, what was the process of becoming a celebrity recommended ghostwriter?
One of the recurring themes of my life that I've noticed when people ask me, Joshua, got any advice? Joshua, got any tips for making it in this business? Joshua, how do I become a professional ghostwriter? 3 words: impress important people. Impress important people. Do that enough times, and the people that you impress are those who are celebrity status. So they have 300,000 hits a month for their name on Google. They let's say they're household names and have been for decades. Impress those people, and they will not shut up about you. And that's been my experience, because ghostwriting an autobiography for someone who is literally unknown and they just want to have a nice life story. Life stories are fine. Life stories are fine. But that's not how you're going to make it as a professional ghostwriter, from what I've learned. A book that is written for someone whose life story 5 million people really want to know, the result of writing that is going to be a lot more for you as the ghostwriter than the result of writing a book for someone who's known by 10 people, even though the effort is the same. Now, I have done the autobiographies and the personal memoirs and those sorts of things, and they were read by about 5 people, 2 family members and 3 friends. And that, for the author, was okay. Like, hey, I finally got my story done. I can retire and die in peace now. so there was a lot of emotional value versus I want to completely change my industry. I want to disrupt every conversation in my walk of life, and I want to be famous, more so than I already am. So those are some different types of books, and I've done all over the place. So that's how you get recommended by people whose word goes a long, long way.
Okay, thank you. And let's see, if I wanted to hire you as a ghostwriter, what would you bring to the table?
Yeah. So most of the people, and I see the question from Easter Bunny. We'll get to your question in just a second about hip hop and ghostwriting. The question of what do I bring as a ghostwriter? Most of the people who come to me lack 1 or 2 things. They lack the time or the talent. So there have been several previously traditionally published authors that I've ghostwritten books for, meaning they got a traditional book deal with a big 4 publisher, which is excruciatingly hard to do. And they know how hard it was the first time. So they reached out to me and said, Joshua, I can't do this again. This is too hard. And so while they have the talent, it took them 5-6 years to write the first book, and the publisher is demanding a second one, or they want to write in a new category, get a new agent and a new publisher, but it was just so hard. They want to get in 5 months, not 5 years. So in that case, absolute stress relief for the person who can show up and talk to me for an hour a week and know it's going to be done right the first time, and that they can actually submit it to the publisher and feel good, like it's in their voice. It's as if they wrote it themselves. They just spent an hour a week. And then there are people who don't have the talent, but have the time and have been trying themselves for 5 or 6 years. And every draft is, they feel embarrassed for themselves with the quality of it. And like, they know that they're good writers, but it's like the first time author's paradox, where you have everything to say in this one book. And yet when you write down, you sit down and you start writing, and that little cursor is blinking at you, mocking you. You have everything to write about, but you're not exactly sure what to say first, what to say after that, what to say after that, and to make it all coherent and come together and be a 50,000 word book that changes your life. That's hard. So you may have the time, the talent, or you may lack both. For a lot of busy, extremely occupied and overscheduled entrepreneurs who are working 80 hours a week to grow an 8-figure company, most people are writing for them already. So their assistant is putting together emails for them, but their assistant is not a ghostwriter, and but they don't have the time either. So, an hour a week to get my book done, sold. So for those people, I'm the solution. There might be some questions about that part of the process, but I want to answer this question. Easter Bunny said, I believe I'm the best hip hop lyricist of our generation. How can I ghostwrite famous rappers? So think about the ladder of fame, so to speak. So famous is usually defined by already known by the highest number of people. Like, for example, if you were to search, let's just take Drake, for example. How many searches for Drake are there on Google a month? 800,000, maybe. How many searches for Drake on Instagram? 1.3 million, maybe. That's pretty famous. In a year, that's more than the population of the entire United States, plus Canada, if I did the math right there. But are there local artists? Are there local people to you who maybe do a show once a quarter, once a month, that you could write for, that you could team up with? And even if they're way, way down and their name gets 0 searches a month, maybe they have 50 YouTube subscribers, maybe their iTunes downloads are in the dozens, if not hundreds. Their streams on, I don't know, Podbean or whatever podcast or streaming platform. Could you write for them? And then if they like it, they'll probably recommend you to someone else. And then you get to the point where you leap up several ladders and you can reach out to maybe a regionally known artist or an independent artist who's got quite a growing following. And you can see how there's a lot of demands on their time and on their creative energies. Then it's time for a direct message directly to them that you can help. Hey, look at all these other hip hop artists, rappers that I've written for that I can help you out with, or that I've done work for. You maybe even heard their songs. And then do that 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 times. And maybe you've got a shot. And I say that because that's what I did in the literary world. No reason you can't do it. People are people, whether they're hip hop artists or they are writing a book about the hip hop industry. And Rui, if I pronounced your name right, asked, I'm not really on social media. Should I get into social media? If so, which one would you recommend? If you are not on social media, you cannot be, what's a nice way to say this? You cannot be all that you could be if you had been on social media. Because the connections that you make, people that can open the door for you will not know who you are if you're not on social media, building a presence. But it depends on where your people already are. Entrepreneurs who are regularly wanting to participate in news and give commentary, where are they at? They're on Twitter. People who are searching for the best ghostwriters that are available, they're looking for potential editors. Where are they going to be? They're going to be on YouTube, looking for tutorials like, step-by-step process to write a book proposal. And there I am. because I'm there. I'm not super active on Facebook, not super active on LinkedIn, not super active on Instagram. But for me, I've realized that the people I want to be writing for are on Instagram and YouTube. So in your case, Rui, where are your people at most? Next question, Sharmila, if I pronounced your name right. How much do you usually have to spend with the person you're ghostwriting for? I assume it varies. Yes, it varies. Some people, it's been as little as an hour and a half. Was all I needed to get their idea, get their story. And I knew that they really didn't have that much to say. I thought, okay, so I'm just going to take their 90 minutes worth of ideas, and I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to do my research. I'm just going to write a 50,000 word book, and whatever I write will impress them, because I know that they know almost next to nothing outside of their little niche about the broader topics that need to be in the book. So let's go over here and I'll write the book, and then bring it back to them, and it's like, oh wow, that's better than I could have thought. But most people, it's usually 20 to 28 hours. So that's 6 to, if I did my math right, an hour a week, usually, for like 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months of consistent interviews, because I want it to be as much their ideas, their stories, their experiences as possible. If I'm ghostwriting articles for someone, I'm going to be meeting with them an hour every other week, and I can do 5 to 10,000 words just based on 2 hours worth of conversation. All right, so I've been doing a lot of talking. Cora, let's hand the mic back to you. I'm sure you might have some commentary, insights, and feedback on what we discussed so far.
No, great content. I love the segment so far. It's just amazing how much you do behind the scenes. And even when we're working as writers ourselves, you don't understand how much you have to do to get to certain points. And I like the way you explained that, because people think that you're supposed to write a book, get a traditional deal, and then become famous. But but there are levels to the process, and even ghostwriters are summoned from time to time, along with editors and development editors and things like that. So I appreciate how you're doing it step by step, because it's really an important position as well. One of the things for I don't know, you might have already answered it, but what are you looking for in a client? So if you were to accept the book deal, what would you be looking for, and how does the chemistry work for you?
Great question, because it puts the onus on the client to be good enough for you as the writer, as the writing professional, versus, oh, can I please work? I'll work for you for free, right? Are you good enough for me? You know, as the client. A couple of years ago, one of my clients told me, he said, Joshua, you have earned arrogance. Meaning, you have a healthy sized ego, but respect. I know what you're talking about, and I know that you know what you're talking about, and I know that you know that I know what you're talking about. Earned arrogance. So that's what I look for in a client. Someone who trusts me. And when I always say trust me, that means if they have an idea for what should be in the opening chapter, and I have an idea what should be in the opening chapter, that they will not say, but Joshua, I really, really, really want to put this in the opening chapter. Okay, but it's going to suck if you do that. I want the opposite of that. Say, here are my ideas, Joshua, but you do your thing. So I am frankly, I look for hands-off people, not micromanagers. And usually, the more important someone is to the more people. So by important, think about the executive. Okay, so I ghost wrote a book for a coach. She's an executive coach to more members of the Fortune 500 C-suite than anyone in the world. And she did exactly what I told her to do with her book. Plus, she was too busy to micromanage. Too busy to micromanage. Like, okay, Josh, that sounds good. Sure. She'd show up, talk for an hour, and when we're done, we're done. You know, none of this, but I really wish you should have done this, blah, 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 right? I mean, if there are details I had to get changed, happy to change them. But I'm looking for people who are hands off as possible, and say, Joshua, let's take me on a journey. Thank you very much. Question: might jingle writing be a part of this process, and how do you get into that? I haven't done that. There's, and you know, jingle is really about like advertising and corporate communications, marketing communications, campaigns, new product launches. Who are the sort of companies that do that? Well, sort of companies that do that typically are companies with a big budget to invest in mega advertising campaigns where jingle writing is even a part of a new product ad campaign. Think about companies that advertise on the radio, traditional media, TV, and to an extent, online ads as well. But most jingle writing is done for companies that are doing traditional media for the general population, and they want their jingle to kind of stick in your ear a little bit. So this is radio, this is TV. Who does radio and TV ads for those companies? And who are those companies? Well, in my area, it's car dealerships, it's chimney sweepers. It's multi-million-dollar companies, but they're small businesses with dozens of employees. That's who's doing the jingle advertisements. So who's doing those advertisements? Local marketing agencies. Local marketing agencies. So think about two companies whose ad had a jingle in it. I'm thinking of two. There's, maybe in other parts of Ohio, you have Health Foods Unlimited, local store here in Dayton, Ohio, where I live. They have a jingle that is unforgettable. It's like a little song. It's annoying how it just sticks with you, but it does. And then there's like a car repair shop. I don't even know where they are, but I've been hearing the jingle since I was a kid. So you pick two companies, and then you would think, who has them as a client? What's the marketing agency that has them as a client? You find out. And then you find out what openings they have at those agencies. I'm looking for help with writing, copy. I'm looking for a $15 an hour VA, right? The only shot you'll get to write jingles for them is if, hey, we need a jingle written for this new advertisement we're doing for this new carpet cleaning company. Who on our team can do that? And that's when you raise your hand and you say, look, I've done these 5 other jingles. That's how it organically works. It's like on demand versus we have a backlist of 300 clients who need 300 jingles written. We'd like to hire you full-time for $50,000 a year. Does not happen in any world, in any galaxy, in any one of the multiverse galaxies and universes. But you raise your hand at the right time because you're in the right place, then you can get the jingle writing gig. Any other questions? Yes. Does each project/book involve some research, or does the client provide you with that? Okay, that is an interesting question. Most of the time I do it all myself, even for people who are published in peer-reviewed journals. They'll say things like, yeah, Joshua, we're going to need to back up what I just said here with the study. I think there's one, if you go onto Google Scholar and search Google Scholar, you'll probably find it. And then citing the study, extracting part of the abstract and the summary that needs to go inside the book. I put it in there. I take care of all that, and I regularly use Chicago Manual of Style. That's because that's the publishing industries. We don't use APA or MLA. Everything is Chicago Manual of Style. So how do they recommend and advise writing citations? Well, footnotes right there on each page. So formatting all of that and creating the citations, that's all within the ghostwriter's purview. And that means I'm even more valuable because that's a massive time savings to someone who knows they need to have research and studies and statistics pulled in. There's one historical nonfiction book project I did, 300 sources. And this was an old, like probably 78 years old. He had no idea how to undertake a serious project. But he had a great story. He had great ideas. He wanted to tell it. And so I did the work for him. So yeah, back to Cora after all those questions. We were on the topic of ghostwriting, and then we had some fun questions in here.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Oh, sorry. Contracts and ghostwriting. Has there ever been a situation where it's like a one and done, like you get paid $50,000 to write it, and then you see it hit 1 million in sales, and you think, but I wrote it. So do you get royalties after it gets to a certain amount of money, or Is it just a one and done thing? Like you get one big check and then everything goes to the actual author?
It's being a certified ghostwriter is a lot like being a certified public accountant, CPA, where you're getting paid to do the job, but in the same way that I don't take royalties out of the process, you're the bookkeeper, you're the accountant, you're not getting paid a small fee and then getting paid profits, because that's not really what this is about. Now, I use that analogy when I talk to potential ghostwriting clients, because that clicks with them, because they have a CPA already, right? So I've just in a shortcut past that objection. Well, Joshua, you don't have any skin in the game if you're just getting paid a fee, right? So how about we cut your fee to 0 and you get 40% of the proceeds from this from the book? Ha ha ha, right? So I bring up the CPA analogies that are like, oh, okay. So I love my CPA because he saved me countless hours and makes me a lot of money and prevents me from making stupid mistakes. Joshua is in the category of people that I already know that I love because they save me lots of time and money. So you see, you put yourself in that group, certified ghostwriter, certified accountant. Okay, I trust him. That sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Little persuasion tip right there. Identify yourself with a group that they already trust. That's your free persuasion tip for the night. But there have been a few projects that I have done shared royalties, and they have been, well, one book right here, actually. You would know this well. Cora, is my new novel, Level Up or Die. Co-authored it, split the profits, royalties, 50-50. And there are other projects I've done that with, where I'll create like a writing course. So I teamed up with Ed Lattimore, who's really popular on Twitter. He just hit 150,000 followers. He's verified on Instagram and Facebook, which is kind of cool. Somehow not verified yet on Twitter. He and I teamed up and we did a tweet writing course together, he and I. 50-50 split, I did a lot of the work. He has a much bigger audience. So that felt fair. That felt fair.
Okay. And what advice do you have for authors and writers at going forward?
Going forward for authors and writers is this right here. Back in 2016, so this is going on almost 5 years ago, just about 5 years ago, I was getting one and done projects, but like tiny projects, like $50 to rewrite your resume, $150 to write 10 emails for the next 2.5 months for your small business. Teeny tiny little projects that are not creating the sort of writing empire I wanted to build for myself with Entrepreneur's Wordsmith. Like, I'm starting from 0 every single month. This sucks. I hate this. Like it's just the worst. You work, and then the client's done, and then you're back to where you started. I mean, you burn out really fast. Freelancers burn out really fast for that reason. And then I thought, what would it look like to not be a freelancer? What does that even mean? I read Seth Godin's book, The Dip. The Dip. Seth Godin, I'll tell you, is, you might call him kind of one of the creators of pull marketing. You know that word lead magnet? You go on the websites and you're given the opportunity to give your name and email or your phone number and be marketed to.
Little
That
landing pages, yeah.
flip switch is Seth Godin, because before, like prior to like before the 1990s, 80s, it was all ad, spam, in your face, buy my stuff, ha ha ha, right? Seth Godin taught companies in the 90s and then to the present, what if you say, would you like to be marketed to? Rather than say, here, be marketed to. So this is a credible individual, highly credible individual. I mean, every single one of us experiences the results of his work, his life's work every day, probably 5 to 10 times an hour. That's how important this person is. So I thought, okay, I should read this guy's book. The Dip is basically how to know when to quit or keep going. That's the exact book I needed to be reading 5 years ago. So that was halfway through my business. I've been in business 10 years, halfway through it. And he basically said, if you're struggling and you're not sure, you are either absolutely not, I'm turning my back on this completely, or you are, I cannot fail, so I will act like it. So those are the two choices, really, like extreme choices. Either I'm completely abandoning it, or I am completely abandoning ever abandoning it. quite a hack there. And I was not enough towards no of quitting freelance writing and trying something else. So I thought, well, if I'm not 100% no, I guess I'm 100% yes. And funny story, I was listening to that book, the audiobook. It's on. I was streaming it from YouTube. Okay, that's what I was doing. And it's like a 2.5-hour audiobook from YouTube. It's early November. Here in Ohio, it can get really cold really fast in the fall when the sun goes down. I'm hiking out at this park I'd never been to before in my entire life. And it was way out in the wilderness, as wilderness as you can get in Ohio, right? You can't really see above the tree line on that type of a dark night. And there's no lights anywhere nearby. And I'm out on the trails somewhere listening to this audiobook and don't remember where I parked my car, and I can't see anything in front of me. All I have in the complete darkness and in the cold is Seth Godin and asking me this question. And almost like complete isolation from civilization is how it felt that one November night. Gets to the end of the book and he asks that question. Are you absolutely not, I'm completely abandoning this project, or will you abandon ever abandoning this? And it was in that state of isolation that I was able to consider that question. And then this thought came to me with complete darkness, almost like a sensory deprivation, you might say. Nothing but the occasional YouTube ad showing up in front of me listening to Seth Godin. I had this thought, and this is the advice I give to every writer. I don't want to be the best ghostwriting service provider in the world. I don't want to be the best ghostwriter. I want to be the best ghostwriting salesperson. And that is what I decided in that moment in the wilderness with Seth Godin, I was committing to. And I was abandoning not becoming the best salesperson for my own ghostwriting services ever. And that distinction of I want to be a great writer, I want to be a great salesperson for my services as a writer, two entirely different paths. The path of I want to be a great writer, great blogger, great ghostwriter, great copywriter, great novelist, great poet, that takes you down the path of tinkering with your craft in private. And you cannot get noticed, you cannot become a public figure, you cannot impress important people if you're becoming the best in absolute silence. Becoming the best salesperson for your ghostwriting service, your copywriting, your blogging, your novels, your poetry, that is a completely different direction. That is the direction of, what do people want to pay for that I can write and enjoy writing? And therefore, it will be easy for me to sell because I'm excited about it and they already want to buy it. For me, that was entrepreneurs and executives who know they need to have a book for their credibility, but don't have the time. They already want a ghostwriter, and I'm already good at writing books. So that is what I decided. I'm going to be the best salesperson for ghostwriting services for a book to entrepreneurs and executives. I made that decision 5 years ago, and I have ever abandoning that decision, and it absolutely paid off. Absolutely paid off. So that is the advice to you. Become the best salesperson you could possibly be of your craft.
That makes sense. Before I ask my next question, Easter Bunny said, "What would you be doing if you were not ghostwriting?"
What I'd be doing if I were not ghostwriting? I've asked myself that question, and I've actually answered it, and I've followed through with that answer. So one thing that I love to do is teach people in such a way that they no longer need their teacher. So I have these, I think, 6 or 7 writing courses that I have. People, generally, I mean, they've sold thousands of copies of these courses. Like in just 1 year, it's crazy. It's crazy because they work so well. Testimonials at the wazoo, at the very top of the chat, and I can even drop it down to the bottom, is the best way to say it. So I would create more, and I continue to create more and more courses on different aspects of writing. So my next course is going to be basically the best way to say it, remote work edition. And it's going to be for remote workers inside of companies, which is what, 100 million people in the United States. Yeah. You work for an employer and you work either part-time remote or full-time remote. And you need to be a great communicator if you're going to keep your job in advance and get paid more. Internal communications every day, text, chat, emails, all those things. So that'll be the course I've got coming up here in a few months. But the original, the classic, the best way to say it is all my best ideas for not just writing extremely persuasively and doing it easily, but how to actually promote your own writing and become that writing salesperson the best you could possibly be. So I would be creating more courses like that. I'll probably also start a persuasion consulting company and take equity from projects. So that would be like, hey, we're launching this new product. We're gonna have a bunch of action behind it. I'd say, okay, our rate is $1,000 an hour. You can buy 5 hours of our time, but we get 25% of the revenue from the launch of the product. That's the sort of thing that I would be doing. And that's like, okay, Joshua, here's your $8 million check. I do a couple of those a year. That is what I would be doing, and open for business, if you know what I mean.
Okay. How many hours do you actually spend on social media?
How many hours I spend on social media? Well, not as much as it looks like. So I regularly, stream of consciousness, blast out a bunch of tweets into my drafts or scheduling them out. I'm most active on Twitter and then YouTube and then all the other platforms. So I'm not super active on Twitter beyond checking it several times a day and then just kind of blitzkrieging everybody all at once, or I'll write 10, I think, hilarious tweets, and then I'll just come back later and show up for 10 seconds, just send tweet, right, and then disappear into the abyss again. YouTube, I had got onto a cadence of doing one new YouTube video every week, and then I kind of fell off to every other week earlier this year, and then once a month most recently. But I've got a video guy who's working with me now who will save me a lot of time, so I can go back to getting closer to doing one new video a week, because I've calculated I get 1,000 for every 1,000 views, I get a new client. So I just need to get to 1,000 views and I get a new client out of it. It's kind of down to a science. And some of my videos get 100 views, some get 5,000 views. So it's just a matter of following that system and finding low competition keywords. And I have old training inside of the best way to say it on how to get noticed on YouTube and Google by targeting keywords that your bigger, more well-known competitors aren't even touching. And you can get 100% of a keyword that's getting searched 50 times a month. That's 50 new people who've just seen you, right? Yeah. Each everybody asks, what do you do to maintain your energy to complete all your projects? I use ClickUp. ClickUp is my project management software. It's like $12 a month, ridiculously cheap. That is like having a full-time project manager for me. That one software, I sync it up, I integrate it with Google Calendar. Every new project I take on for a client, I put in all of their tasks and when they are due, and in the order that they're due inside of ClickUp. Sync it to my calendar. I now see what I have to get done this week for everyone. For everyone. There's no guesswork, there's no memory. I realized that early on. The more you have to remember, the less creative you're going to be. So if you can delegate your memory of what needs to get done to a software, to a person, to whatever, your creativity is now unlocked. It's now unlocked. I can go even further, where I write the tasks for the week on a piece of paper, and then I literally mark them off as I get them done, because I get that dopamine hit. You want to manage your dopamine hits. So I get my task printed off, like, okay, and I get it done, mark it off, yeah, feel great, right? Dopamine rush, energize, hit the next one. I don't get them all marked off, versus going in the little checkbox here, clicking the checkbox. Oh, okay, I got it done. Okay, look at all the rest of them. Okay, all done on a piece of paper with black ink marking off. Totally different experience. Totally different experience. Manage your dopamine well, my friends.
Okay, one more question. What do you do to maintain? Oh, we already did that one. I'm sorry.
It is.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I I'm going off the grid on this one, but what is the weirdest book project that you have been approached with? Like, is it erotic or weed or
No.
Bitcoin? Like, I mean, there's got to be something out there you said no.
There has never been a client I've said no to. Not for the reason like, I'll take anyone, please, I just need your money. Not for that reason. Nowadays, I do say no to a lot of people, and it's usually the types who are like, I'm going to change the world with this book idea. What's it about? Well, it's a novel. It's about this Formula One race car driver. Stop, and no, get out of here. You're not changing the world with a novel about a race car driver. It's probably pretty cool. Okay, well, what's your platform? I have 50 followers on Twitter. No, no, you are not. Like, ego and expectation are so far removed from reality. I can't help you. Okay, I could write the best dang novel about this Formula One race car driver, and you're going to sell 10 copies of it, wasting up everyone's time. So those are the sorts of projects I say no to. Projects I said yes to. 2 people, I kid you not, 2 people approached me and said, Joshua, completely serious, I am the reincarnated Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and I am here with a message. And I took both of those clients. Plot twist. Neither was the reincarnated Jesus Christ. Neither. If you can believe it. I had 2 chances. And I had 50-50. Neither of them were. Neither of them were. They are both jerks. but I feel like you could probably have expected that.
Wow. Okay, I am going to open up the floor because there are some people here who I haven't heard from. Do you guys have any questions? The ones that are on audio?
Yeah, audio questions are perfectly fine. Hit us up before we unmute you and force you to talk. All right, while we're waiting here, a couple of questions showing up here. Easter Bunny says, and coffee. I am not caffeinated, nor drunk, nor high, nor any substance right now, except the glorious taste of beach plum LaCroix, now available in stores nationwide. But seriously, yeah, I like sparkling water. Salt your water, salt your coffee with real like sea salt, Celtic sea salt, Himalayan sea salt will give you massive energy boost. This whole low sodium thing is a scam. I've ghostwritten 6 books about it. So you have it on my word that someone has it on good word that's true. Okay, coming back to the chat here. Let's see what happened next. Nancy asks, my mouse is going to cooperate. Is my mouse going to cooperate? It is. Okay, Nancy, have you ever won a book contest like Pipeline? What are your thoughts on those companies? They say they send bit stories to big clients. I've had at least 3 clients win an awards contest. I think 2 of them, there was actually no fee. So it wasn't one of these like 10 people are entering this contest, each paying us $500, and we're going to pick one of them because he paid us money. Like, okay, that's not a real contest. Like, that's kind of like, you know, voting for yourself for president, and there was 1 voter, right? But actually winning an awards contest, being award-winning author, award-winning ghostwriter, it only goes so far as the contest is legit. So what is the largest contest in the world that's open to the most number of authors is Reader's Favorite. Reader's Favorite. They get like tens of thousands of submissions in categories. If you can beat that, your book basically is the best. Famous comedian Jim Carrey wrote a book a few years ago. He was a Reader's Favorite winner for that year, I think in the humor category. So when you've got traditionally published authors and independently published authors both entering a contest that's been endorsed by Random House and Wiley and these big publishers, okay, that's legit. Like, have there been real legit authors who won? Like, I know in sci-fi fantasy, winning a Dragon Award is a big deal because of the stiffness of the competition. So last year I had a client, he won the #1 marketing book of 2020, and there were like 5,000, 6,000 entries into it. And the judges, real publishing industry professionals, said this is by far the best marketing book ever written, right? And I was like, wow, I wrote that book. So that's funny where you could kind of borrow the credibility of authors on a topic, and now it makes you credible. So I use that for projects like, hey, I know about marketing. Look at this book that I ghostwrote that won this big award. Maybe you can help me write a book that's good enough to be award winner too. You know, name your price, name your price. So really, it's about the credibility. It's about the credibility of the contest that you're going into. In the same way that 10 years ago, #1 Amazon bestseller was like saying, everyone gets a trophy. Sort of same thing like, oh yeah, sure you are, in a category that has 3 books sold per day. But then 2 or 3 years ago, traditionally published authors started calling themselves Amazon bestsellers. My book was published by Penguin, and I'm a #1 Amazon bestseller. Okay, now an Amazon bestseller is credible to the populace because the big girls and boys are now using that. You're now using that. Sharmila likes adding Himalayan sea salt. You add it to everything. What is the most memorable piece of writing that you've done, if you have some for LF? Can you clarify memorable pieces of writing for myself, for clients, personal projects, professional projects? Just clarify your question at LF, please, and I'll answer it. And while the clarification is coming, any other questions? Any other questions?
Nope, I've tackled my list of questions.
Okay, good deal, good deal. It's probably the best way, I would say. I see two clarification. Another question came in from Easter Bunny. I would say that the best way to continue this conversation is through the best way to say it for anyone who's interested in. It's not like, hey, I want you to buy my stuff so I can get rich, ha ha ha. Cora was gracious enough to host us. She's a 50-50 affiliate. So if you join the best way to say it, scroll up in the chat to see the link. She gets paid, and that's lovely. I like it when Cora gets paid. So feel free to join through her affiliate link. See, I see I'm doing a pitch for you, so I get to make you money.
Thank you.
Sure,
No,
sure.
actually, the book is really good. And that's how I ended up contacting Joshua, because I actually had bought the book first. And I was like, whoa, I love this book so much. Like, do you have an affiliate agreement? And he was like, yeah, by the way, I do. So, that's one of those things where a closed mouth don't get fed. Like, I actually reached out to him. He didn't know me, I didn't know him, but I knew his work because I read it, and I read it over and over again. And it really is some great content. It helped me with my social media. It helped me with my writing. And there's so many tips in there that I just really just want to just keep using them. And I wanted to bring it to the group. But that's why I also brought him here, because before I start exploiting his work, I wanted to introduce him to let you know who's the genius behind what, I've learned, because I'll be, using that from time to time in some of the things that I'll be working on. So again, thank you for gracing our screen and being here, because you took time out for that, and I really appreciate that. If there any more questions, because I only have him for 1 hour, and although I would love to have him for more, I wanted to make sure that we got all your questions answered. Something that you may be working on and you want to figure it out, this is the perfect time to ask that question. Oh, back to LF. Want to know, is it a personal and client? So basically, what's your most memorable piece for writing that you've done for personally for you and for a client?
Personally, for me, it would definitely be a tie between the best way to say it, which is it's a video course where I screen share, I record my screen as I work on real clients' projects, articles, sales page, emails, books, and I explain why I ghostwrite the way that I do, why I'm moving things around down to, here's why I remove this preposition in this sentence. Now let's read it again. And there's hours and hours of that stuff in there. That is it's like hiring me as your ghostwriter for everything without hiring me as your ghostwriter for everything. So that's why. And then it's a tie between that and my TEDx talk. The average TEDx talk gets like 1,000 views. Mine's got almost 40,000. I mean, it's not one of the multi-million view viral ones out there. Kind of a low key, but it's my story of how I became a professional writer. My writing journey began, my first project, freelancer, $1.67 an hour was the fee that I got paid 10 years ago. So that's the story of that. If you just search TEDx Joshua Lisec, Lisec on YouTube, you'll find it. You'll find it. Easter Bunny asks, what's your favorite time of day to write? 2:30 to 4 a.m. So I have a little boy, 3 years old, just gonna turn 3. And if you're a parent, you know that 2:30 to 4 a.m. is not a time that you usually get sleep. for one reason or another, your little chitterlings are up for one reason or another. And so when the boy gets up, and if I find a way to get him back to sleep, and if I'm awake, fully conscious, oh, it's 2:30. I think I'm going to go put in some of the best work that's going to win an award in 6 months. So 2:30 to 4 a.m. 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. I found works really, really well. Basically, when the world is quiet, like the muse speaks loudest in silence. Next question. That's what's up. Yes, that is what's up.
Okay, I have one more question.
Sure thing.
And this is the money taker. If I was a client of yours and I wanted to hire you to write, a full-length book, the whole 9 yards, and the actual query letter, what would be the odds of it being accepted with a traditional publisher?
So I'll tell you the same thing I tell everyone, which is, I'll give you the rule and then I'll give you the exception. The rule is you need 100,000 followers on any one social media platform to get a book deal. If you do not have 100,000 social media followers on a platform, you're not going to get a book deal. And I know this because literary agents hire unpaid interns for the summer, for the semester, for the quarter. And what they do is it's their job to receive all the queries, review the queries, look the authors up on social media, and rank them according to who has the most followers. And they only reply to the ones that are of the highest threshold that week. They don't even read your book, people. They don't care. They have absolutely no reason to care about it. They're looking at who already has the highest follower count, because it's going to be easier for them to make my publisher money rather than the publisher have to do any marketing now. So publishers, they don't want to spend a dime on marketing if they don't have to. So they would rather you make them the money, and they can give you the credibility of being a real being a real author, because I was published by McGraw-Hill. What do you know, right? Is there an exception to the rule? Yes. 2 exceptions to that rule. Number 1, how many times you search for on social media? New client I have, she's as close to an absolute yes to a book deal for any amount she asks for. She has a 5-figure follower count, a very low 5-figure follower count on Twitter. But she searched on Google something like 138,000 times a month, 140,000, 141,000 times, something like that. She doesn't have a book. That could probably sell 1% of that. So 140 was that? No, 1,400 copies a month, or no, okay, 140, whatever. You know the math, right? Just from having a book at the top of search results. Okay, so that is a spot that's not yet taken that she could easily get. The other exception is an extremely, let's say, relevant book. So let's say you are a unique expert on something that is in the headlines, and that will be in the headlines, and that's on everyone's minds, right? Who would NPR want to have on to talk about an issue? You need to be the sort of person that NPR would want to interview for that news story. Your topic would need to be that relevant and that timely. So like, let's say you have an addiction recovery center in San Francisco right now. You need to get a book deal, period, because of overdose deaths rising 30% in 2020, and you're uniquely positioned to have the most people in probably one of the best known places in the world, the Tenderloin District, for overdose deaths. And if you're uniquely able to prevent them, yeah, everyone wants to know about that, right? Because all of us are affected by addiction, by narcotics, by all that. So you can have 0 followers online and you're going to get a book deal. right? Because all the publisher has to do is say, hey, you know this thing you already care about? Here's an expert on it. Go buy their book. So those are the 2 exceptions to the book deal rule. A couple more questions. Have a background in drama, poetry, comedy, acting. Now I'm adding grant writing consulting. Cool. Okay, my first thing I need to do is social media. Yes. Go where your potential clients are already. Easter Bunny, you have 100 followers, so you just need 3 zeros to go. Yes, and unironically, get to 100,000 followers. And what system is going to get you there the fastest? That will probably get you everything else you could have ever wanted, so that when you get to 100,000 followers, you'll be like, I don't need a book deal anymore, because of everything you learned along the way. The true destination was the journey all along. Should I start with self-publishing to get my name out on social media? You could do that, but were it me, I would build an audience first, and then I would sell my audience something. Maybe it's like 1,000 followers, right? You have enough people who care what you have to say. So then when you publish something, when you release something, maybe you'll get 10, 20, 50, 100 sales, because the people who've been following you, wow, I've been loving your stuff. I would love to buy this from you. I would love to buy this from you. I think I released the best way to say it when I think I just hit 3,000 followers on Twitter. I'm now at 13,000 followers. So 10,000 I've added in 1 year. So, 8, 9 years, I can get a book deal at this rate. Kidding. Brandon Spires, thanks for your notes on social media. My pleasure. It's top of the hour, folks. I'm a Scoot. Is there one last question that anyone wants to squeak in here? Could it be you, Cora? You're the host of the show.
Yes, one last question. Talking about the numbers on social media, as you know, I had over 14,000 followers on my social media, and I don't know how I did it or how I even got to that number, but what would you say to someone who do have that many followers? How do you convert those people to sales?
You can ask them.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yes, so I did a poll asking people, after I released the best way to say it, which I knew people wanted because I had so many clients ask me, can you just create a course and I can have my copywriter go through it so I don't have to pay you all the money you want? So I thought, okay, I can do that. And it worked. People bought that instead of hiring me. And then they came back and said, okay, I know you get it. You're hired now. Unironically, that literally happened at least a dozen times. That was cool. But after I released the best way to say it, I would post, what else would you want me to talk about next? Over and over and over again. People said, how do you get an idea for that course? How do you get ideas for your clients? How do you research their books? How do you do market research for copy? I heard it over and over again. Market research. And then also I heard, do you have any quick persuasion tips? Yeah, I can write well. I just don't persuade people. What can I do? So those were a couple of things I created next. The best way to market research it, and best way to say it series, best way to market research it, and a short persuasion masterclass called Write This, Not That. And what I've noticed is that most people are anti-persuasive in their writing. They're not neutral. Like in your copy, your advertisements, you're not neutral. You are anti-persuasive. I'll give you an example. Okay, think a corporate advertisement for a software, just a random piece of software, scheduling software. Level up your scheduling capabilities. What does that even mean? Enhance your scheduling system. What does that even mean? Optimize your scheduling experience. Boost your scheduling. What? We don't even know what that means. I have no idea what that means. That's really bad. That tells me that you don't know the value of your product and you're trying to convince me it's actually valuable. It's a scam. That's anti-persuasive. So to be persuasive, stop being anti-persuasive. And that message, because it is fear-based, it's a fear-based pitch. I sold 727 copies of that in 4 days when I launched it in November. Also, it was like the price point of a book, so that helped, and it still sells to this day. Thank you, Cora, for posting links to all of my good stuff there. Is my son a future best-selling author? He's probably the future president of the Entrepreneur's Wordsmith, my writing company, for sure. He's quite good at golf. He can regularly drive the golf ball about 50 yards. and he has been for like almost a year. So he's like a little Tiger Woods, 2-year-old out there bombing it longer than the weekend hackers who are stumbling along, hitting it 20 yards. You feel pretty good as a dad about that.
Great dad moment.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Joshua, thank you so much for taking time out to speak with your group. We're forever going to be grateful. Everyone, we're going to end with, thank you for your advice. I hope to be a full-time novelist. That's really, okay. I'm going to go ahead and end the segment with everyone. If you have any more questions, all of Joshua's links are in the chat. He does have a free call on the entrepreneurwordsmith.com/book. You can get in touch with him there on his website. And please, please, if you don't do anything else tonight, go ahead and get his best way to say it, because that really was a game changer for me. So everyone, thank you for your time, and I greatly appreciate you.
My pleasure. It was great to chat with you, Cora, and everyone else here. It was a blast. So best of luck to you. Take care, Godspeed, all that, etc. Follow me on Twitter @Joshua Lisec. Farewell.
Farewell.